How's it going, everybody? I'm a white boy. So, I guess all of you by now have seen Doug Ford and his $75 million ad in regards to, trade with America, the tariffs, that whole situation. And I called it out on Twitter before he misrepresented in his ad what former president, the best president before Trump was, Ronald Reagan. He misrepresented him in that whole video, even right down to the context in which he was speaking. Now, I want to read to you their response. So I guess it's like who handles Ronald Reagan, the presidential people, like whatever, right? I'm not sure who this is exactly from, but it's from, actually, it's right here. What am I talking about? The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to read to you what was said here. The Ronald Reagan Foundation, the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation, and the Institute learned of the government of Ontario, Canada, created an ad campaign using selective audio and video of President Ronald Reagan delivering his radio address to the nation on free and fair trade, dated April 15th, 1987. The ad misrepresents the presidential radio address, and the government of Ontario did not seek or receive permission to use and edit the remarks. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute is reviewing its legal options in this matter. We encourage you to watch the president's unedited video on our YouTube channel. So that's what we're going to go do. So yeah, we're going to watch what Reagan actually said. So this is what he actually said.
First, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is, first, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets.
I just want to stop here for a second and just, if there's any Americans watching, I need you to understand that there is like 8 million conservatives in Canada that voted in the last federal election. This whole drama here is in regards to someone that's on a provincial level. Now, the scumbag in which I speak, obviously you know his name, is Doug Ford. He's a conservative in liberal clothing. Okay, that's what he wears underneath his fucking conservative, outer shell, the outer round shell, the cheesecake eating fucking goof bitch shell that he is. Okay, so being as that is, he sucks up and fucking licks Mark Carney's ass and has fucking brown stains on his fucking nose. And, even during the fucking pandemic, the guy, that's when I started to see who he really was, I voted for him, and then I fucking instantly regretted it during the pandemic on how he was treating people who was protesting at the fucking trucker rally. Okay, anyways, I just wanted to get that out there and make that known. I am really, really pissed off about this whole situation, okay? Because now America has entirely cut off talks of any form of trade with Canada because of this fucking cocksucker.
And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity. Now, it hasn't always been easy. There are those in the Congress, just as there were back in the 30s, who want to go for the quick political advantage, who risk America's prosperity for the sake of a short-term appeal to some special interest group, who forget that more than 5 million American jobs are directly tied to the foreign export business, and additional millions are tied to imports. For those of us who lived through the Great Depression, the memory of the suffering it caused is deep and searing. And today, many economic analysts and historians argue that high tariff legislation passed back in that period, called the Smoot-Hawley Tariff, greatly deepened the Depression and prevented economic recovery.
Now, he was talking about Japan and trade talks with Japan and tariffs, I guess, what was going on back then. I'm not entirely fully educated on what that whole situation was, I admit, but what I do know is that Doug Ford completely misused, misrepresented, and then posted that fucking whole narrative-driven misrepresentation and spent $75 million using it and then promoting it in America. Okay, that's what he did. And I tell you right now, like I said before, there are so many people on this side of the border that disagree and are disgusted with this. Okay? Anyways, so that's, where I'm at, what I feel, and I'm a white boy. Shout out to all my Americans. I love you. Peace.